Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new episode of the UMass Online Dynasty, where today we will be going on the road against Kansas State and we have a tough game on our hands. Kansas State, of course, is in that Power 5 conference, so they have B's across the board, B overall rating, B plus offense, B minus defense, and we just have D's on our side of the ball. So definitely going to have a tough game on our hands. But before we officially get into that game, just want to show you guys how the rest of the teams in the Online Dynasty that I'm doing this with have done. So last week we did play FCS East and we won that game 24-23. It was an extremely close game. It was very intense for the vast majority of the game. So if you want to check that out, definitely follow the link in the upper right hand corner. Blam King of North Texas played Ohio, lost to them 24-7. Slacker Gaming had a huge game in overtime against Tulane. It was an extremely exciting game to watch. They ended up winning 31-28, and then one of my subscribers in Duff 2205, they ended up winning against Duke 35-14. Definitely a really impressive showing early on in the season. But enough about how the rest of the teams of our Online Dynasty are doing. Let's jump right into this football game against Kansas State. Alright, so here we are at Bill Snyder Stadium. Here we are at the road, named after longtime head coach Bill Snyder of Kansas State. It's going to be a tough game for us. I'm going to start with this coin toss, though. We're going to go with heads, and it is tails. That was the best chance that we had of winning anything today. And that might be the only thing we are close to winning. But we do get the ball to start off this game, and we're going to start off with a rush for Jeff Reed, who gains 5 yards on the play, sets up his 2nd and 5, and it's a similar play action pass that was returned for a touchdown for the defense, of course. But this time Marcus McCoy will catch it for 30 yards and will move the chains for UMass. And UMass is not doing so bad. To start off this game, as UMass is going to drop back the pass. Walter McCall actually doesn't see anybody upfield. He's going to fumble it, although Marcus McCoy thankfully is there to pick it up, and the drive will still continue. Couple of plays later, UMass is going to drop back once again, and a tight window for Tyrone Robertson, but is able to maintain concentration and holds on to the catch, which sets up this beautiful touchdown throw to David Guerrero, who gets the 13-yard reception touchdown, and UMass is actually going to strike first, taking a 7-0 lead early on in this first quarter. And the best thing is that Kansas actually had to punt it away, so we have the ball right back, and Walter McCall is going to start a second drive with an 11-yard run. This could be an upset alert in the making, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of his drives go, although it stalls out shortly after, and we're going to have to punt it away to Kansas State. So Kansas State has the ball back once again. This time, they are looking a little bit better than their first drive, as Daniel Phillips gets his first carry for 5 yards. And that's actually the end of the first quarter already, as we have a 7-0 lead, holding our own against Kansas State, really taking that confidence from the previous game and applying it into this one, as we have this lead in the first quarter. However, Kansas State is still going to drive down this field as Mark Hayes gets the carry off the wide receiver. Quick handoff, gains 6 yards on the play and the first down, and then sets up another first down, this time to running back Jeremy Hall, who gains 20 yards. That is the biggest play for Kansas State today, up until this play, of course, which goes to Tim Rogers for 25 yards. Kansas State is starting to find their rhythm on offense, and UMass simply does not have an answer, as he is going to drag multiple defenders down to the 1 yard line, and it's going to be a 1st and goal for Kansas State. So 1st and goal now for Kansas State. They go into the goal line formation, and it's nearly picked off. Josh Moore was trying to throw it away, it looks like, but we nearly got the interception. Going to have to settle for a 2nd and goal, which is going to turn into a Kansas State touchdown, and Kansas State will knot it up at 7. So now UMass has their turn with the ball, and it's going to start with a pass to star tight end Ryan Harvey, who gains 5 yards off the quick tight end throw, makes it a 3rd and 4. Does make it seem like a reasonable situation, so we're going to hand it off, or not hand it off, but throw it to Anthony Amos, who was able to make the easy catch and move the chains for the first down. UMass is not playing too shabby so far. We might be able to take the lead. Only have a couple minutes left though, so we'll have to speed it up just a little bit. 3rd and 7 now for UMass. Walter McCall is going to drop back the pass, and it's deflected by Eric Patterson, and UMass is going to have to punt the ball away. Minute and 37 seconds left in the first half, and UMass needs to get a stop here, try to keep this game tied, and Josh Moore is sacked for a loss of 8 yards on the play. Makes it a long 2nd and 18 for the Kansas State Wildcats. Very next play, Josh Moore is going to drop back once again. It is thrown to Tim Rogers, the tight end, gains 10 yards on the play, gets that sack yardage loss back and a little bit more. Couple of plays later, Josh Moore is going to drop back once again, and Javon Hayes this time makes the catch for another first down. Really continuing to move the chains for Kansas State, and I'm not sure if UMass is going to get the ball back to end the first half. However, Josh Moore almost throws another interception, but is just deflected, thankfully, and it sets up this 3rd and 6, which is also going to be deflected. So UMass has 48 seconds to potentially take the lead, ending the first half. So definitely both teams are on upset alert, and Carrington makes an amazing catch. Derek Carrington maintains his concentration and gains 17 yards on the play, and it just allows his UMass team to continue to move the ball upfield, even though Amos just drops the pass there. Very next play, though, Walter McCall is going to throw it underneath to Tyrone Robertson, who gains 19 yards on the play, and UMass is going to go into a no huddle. They're going to run the exact same play, and Kansas State is fooled a second time as Tyrone Robertson this time gains 17 yards. So UMass is starting to creep in the field goal range. They can definitely get some points to end this first half. However, the throw is dropped by McCoy, and it is intercepted. UMass just hits a stroke of bad luck as Marcus McCoy drops the pass and is picked up by a defender before it touches the ground. So instead of taking the lead, we will be going into halftime with a 7-7 lead. So it was definitely very unfortunate to end the first half the way that it is. But if you're UMass, you have to be feeling pretty good about yourself. Except they forgot that the game is 60 minutes long, as first play of the second half, Kansas State gets a huge gain, and it is followed up by Andrew Berg's 9-yard reception, setting up the 2nd and 1. But if you're in UMass right now, if you're looking at that first half, you're feeling pretty good about yourself because of how they played and how they are just huge underdogs, and they're definitely playing hard, especially with how I thought that was going to be a fumble. But, you know, that's what NCAA 14 does to you sometimes, as Kansas State gets another first down. Very next play is going to be a run up the right-hand side to running back Daniel Phillips, who gains 9 yards on the play. Breaks a couple of tackles. He's been killing us a little bit in the second half. Very next play, though, it's going to be a run, and he is going to be able to basically walk in for a touchdown. Josh Moore gains 11 yards on the play, gets his touchdown, and Kansas State will take their first lead of the day, leading 14-7. So now UMass has the ball back for the first time in the second half, and they're going to pick off right where they left off before that interception. Tyrone Robertson is going to make an 11-yard catch to get the first down. And then Robertson just is an absolute star for us today, as he makes another catch on this drive. He has 5 catches for 73 yards our way. This dude is balling out. Man wants to win one for the UMass Minutemen, as Amos makes another catch, 26 yards. And UMass is in a position to tie this ball game right up with a beautiful throw. Very next play, UMass is going to run the read option, and Walter McCall is going to get a gain of 9 yards to make this 2nd and 1. So now we are in 1st and goal. We have an opportunity to tie this game. However, it's going to be tough to score when we have blocking out like that, because Walter McCall is caught for a loss of 4 yards. Couple of plays later, Walter McCall tries to make some adjustments at the line, and he is picked off again. This time looks like number 1 is Xavier Keys is number 1. Forgot who number 1 was on the Kansas State team. So Once again, UMass leaves some points on the board as Josh Moore has plenty of time to get the pass off, and they get a huge game. What a deflating series of moments for the UMass Minutemen. They have a chance to tie the game, and they're picked off for the second time in a row. Definitely tough if you're a UMass football fan, if I say so myself. 3rd and 2 though for Kansas State. They have opportunity to make the stop, but they completely forget about the quarterback Josh Moore, as Josh Moore is able to get the easy first down. UMass focused in on the running back, and he was able to take advantage. And I don't know why they would forget about this quarterback, because Josh Moore does have some legs. Josh Moore is able to gain another first down all by himself. And this Kansas State rushing attack is starting to tear us apart a little bit. The depth charts for both teams are starting to show in this second half, as Kansas State is beginning to assert itself basically in the trenches, as Jeremy Hall gets a nice spin move off, is able to break a tackle, and is going to lead to another touchdown for Kansas State as Javon Hayes gets an easy catch. UMass tried to play the run, and it turns out to be a pass. Kansas State is up 21-7. So UMass is down 2 touchdowns, so they need to get the ball into the end zone on this drive to have a chance. Doesn't help when your star tight end drops some of those catches. Sets up a 4th and 10 to where they need to get a first down, and Walter McCall just doesn't see anybody. Tries to throw it away for whatever reason to a low percentage play, and looks like Kansas State is going to be able to walk away and get this wins, but not before Kansas State gets into the end zone one more time, as they are just exerting their will on this game. Kansas State is going to take a 28-7 lead. Very deflating second half for your UMass Minutemen, as they are going to walk away from Bill Snyder Stadium with a 28-7 loss. They started off with a 7-0 lead at the end of the first quarter, and then ends in a 28-0 run. Looking at the stats, though, for UMass Minutemen, though, Walter McCall had a pretty okay game. 13 for 24 for 185 yards, 1 touchdown, and a couple of interceptions. Granted, this first interception was not his fault, because it was just a great play by the Kansas State defender. Looking at the running game, however, it was just a rough day on the ground for UMass Minutemen. Your leading rusher was Walter McCall, who only had 26 yards rushing off of 8 carries, leads to that average of 3.2 yards. Definitely scary if your leading rusher only averages 3 yards a carry on the day, and it showed in why our team was so one-dimensional. But our passing game was pretty good. As I mentioned earlier, as Tyrone Robertson, the true freshman out of Leesburg, Florida, played extremely well today. 5 catches for 73 yards, although the only touchdown pass was caught by David Guerrero, who had 1 catch for 13 yards, but he got that touchdown. So if you're playing PPR fantasy college football, that's a pretty solid day for you nonetheless if you have on the flex. And then Cliff Harris led the team in tackles today with 5 total tackles, a sophomore redshirt out of Massachusetts. There were 2 tackles for a loss today, both of which came from our defensive line, both of which are seniors, and they played pretty solid overall, rushing the quarterback, and even Eddie Williams was also the only person with a sack as well. So that's really all I have for today. It was a tough loss against Kansas State, but a lot of good things to feel good about. Next week we will play against Vanderbilt at home. If you guys like my video, make sure you leave a like, leave a comment for me. And if you made it this far, you're the true MVP, and I suggest you subscribe to the channel, as I plan on dropping more college football and a little bit of pro basketball content as well. Until then, I'll see you guys next time, and I hope you have a good one. Peace.